Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the Yu-Gi-Oh community. We are back with the feature for round 5. So here we have Kirk Clark on the left-hand side playing Geargia, and on the right-hand side we have Kyle Griffin, who is playing Lightsworn. Now I realise you all have seen this duel before, but this is table 1. This is the top table at round 5 standings. So we have 3 back row set and a 1 Geargia armor. So we have a Math Magician that's going to attempt to activate its effect here. If this goes through, I can see an Eclipse Wyvern going down, but he has Breakthrough skilled it. So he has another Mathematician in hand, but he does have Solar Recharge, and that was a Felice, I do believe, that he milled. Unfortunately, we can't see the mills because of this graphic. So, for this duel, it's going to be quite difficult because the graphic is in the way, but have no fear. So Kirk is going off. He has got the Accelerator, the Arsenal, and the armor on field. Used with another armor now, so he's going to go into probably a Geargia X, which is going to start wrecking face. So Kirk was talking to me about this deck. It's all of the best decks that are the best cards that are currently around. That he's put into one deck into Geargia. So we're going to have some damage on board here in a minute. So he's going to detach and attack, which will take 200 damage. And then he's going to attack with Geargia X, which is going to be a total of 2,500 damage to the Lightsworn player. So the Lightsworn player is just calculating the life, and we're going to see how this goes now. Kirk has 2 back rows still, and possibly 2 very live back row, because with Geargia, his trap lineup, he has 17 traps in total, and that has a lot of good cards there. So he's drew Erin, with another Mathematician, which I imagine he'll try and do possibly another Mathematician, but his hand is actually very bad. He has 2 Eclipse Wyvern in his hands, which is very, very awful. He does play the 3 Eclipse Wyverns, I do believe. But unfortunately, no, he only plays the 2 Eclipse Wyverns. So that's unfortunately a bit of an issue. After this round, I am going to go and just quickly move the camera. So he's going to book him in the Felice. And he's going to lance the but then he changed with the bottomless. So that is quite unlucky for the Lightsworn player. And I can't see. So they're just talking about. Oh yeah, of course. So they were just talking about how obviously it wouldn't go ahead. Unfortunately, he does have quite of a brick hand, and you can probably see him going into a Black Rose Dragon here, but it's going to be a trade-off because Black Rose Dragon is going to get bottomless straight away. Obviously, the effect will still go off, but it just gets it out of the way. So the Lightsworn player has 4 in hand, and he's going to pass turn to the Geargia player. Geargia player will summon the Arsenal, and he will attack and then activate the effect. So this leaves the Lightsworn player on 3,800 life points. Well then, that was an interesting draw, drawing the Soul Charge. That is about as good as it gets. However, he only has 3,000 life points to spare, but that might just be enough because he has the Felice, he has the tuners, and he has different plays. So this might be a very interesting play. I do see a card trooper. You always get one of the card troopers back just to mill into his grave, and he is going to play the soul charge. So that was going to be pretty obvious, and he's going to pay a questionable amount of life points. He's going to play 1,000, 2,000, 2,000 life points in total. So that will leave him on 1,100. 1,000 and 1,818. So it's always a difficult thing. So obviously, as I said, he brought the card trooper out just to be able to mill, and he discarded the Eclipse Wyvern to get the Felice into the Lila, Lumina, which then activates Eclipse Wyvern's effect to get the JD. He's activating the effect to kill the armed armor, and then he mills at the end phase. Not the end phase just yet, sorry, on the effect activation. So there's a breakthrough there, which is quite nice. So the Judgment Dragon is definitely live right now. And there is the arsenal. There is the accelerator. This is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Kurt will go into. So he's going for the Heartline Drago for the attack for game. And that is game one. So that was game one. Pretty quick game if you do ask me. But that's how Kirk likes to play his duels. He does like to play them pretty sharpish and straight to the point. Hello, I am back. Sorry, I was just slightly moving the camera so we can get a better look at the player's graveyard, because obviously the graphic was blocking it, and I can move the graphic, but I feel that it's going to be a bit of an arsehole if I start moving the graphics around mid-game. It's not going to look very good for you, and it's probably going to be quite confusing. So, unfortunately, I have just moved the camera very quickly, and we will be getting into it very soon. So with the Lightsworn player, he has some interesting side cards. The side deck consists of Maxi, Shadow Dragon, so 2 Maxi, 2 Shadow Dragon, 2 DD Crow, 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, 1 Malevolent Catastrophe, 1 different Dimensional Ground, 1 Phoenix Windblast, 2 Prideful Roar, and 1 Light Ray Diablos. It's very difficult to read the handwriting. With the Geargia player, with Kirk, we have 2 Maxi, 1 Dimensional Fissure, 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, 1 Microcosmos, 3 Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, 2 Deep Dark Trap Hole, and 2 Black Horn of Heaven. So there are some very interesting cards that both of these players can use in this duel. So it's going to be very interesting to see if how this will do. The Geargia deck just simply +1 all over the place there, and just out advantaged the opponents. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this will now go. So here we are for game 2 of Geargia versus Lightsworn. If you have somehow just started this from the middle, Geargia won the first round. Oh, so is it just a simple card drop there? So, the Lightsworn player is starting, and he starts great off with a Soul Charge. Really nice, and they are pretty decent mills. Unfortunately, the same names is a little bit irritating, but it's not too much of an issue. With the Mathematician in hands, this could be a very decent opening turn for this Lightsworn player. He's just deciding what to search out now, and he decides to search Garroth. So next play is going to probably be... Oh, very interesting. He's going straight for the Soul Charge play with 2,000 life points lost. Just to get those mills. It's actually quite a clever play because using the Garroth you can gain advantage. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this now goes. So Lumina, Felice. Felice is special summoned. JD, Solar Recharge. Then we have an Honest and a Monster Reincarnation. Another Felice and an Eclipse Wyvern. And look at that. Look how that goes. So we have the Eclipse Wyvern that is going to banish the Judgment Dragon, and his graveyard is completely fueled already. I'm not entirely sure of everything that's there, but there's a lot in there. It's going to be very difficult for the opponent, for the Geargia player, to possibly get around this, unless he has possibly a Dark Hole. Which he doesn't, but he does have a Traptrix Murmelo, sorry, which is probably going to search out a Bottomless, which it does. But he does have the Dark Hole. Wow. He's going for an interesting play, though. This is very, very different from Kirk here. So he's going to overlay into the... I wonder what he could overlay into. It's very interesting. He's going to go into a Diamond Direwolf to pop the back row. Which is unfortunately an MST. He misses with that one. But here comes the darkest of holes. Possibly. Well, the Lightsworn player gets 1,000 life points for his troubles there. And he just sets. Interesting. Now, Kirk is playing it very shrewdly. I'm pretty sure that was definitely a Dark Hole that I saw. But here's a Needlebug's Nest. And... if the Geargia player doesn't, so they're not the greatest mills for the Lightsworn player, but it is 2 extra names in the grave for that Judgment Dragon. I believe he wants to see some Dragon Rulers, and there are none there, unfortunately. But if there are any in hand, there are not. But what you can do is with Mathematician, if he so wished, he could dump a Ruler and then start banishing to get the Judgment Dragon, and then Judgment Dragon can hit the field. There is the Mathematician. And there is the Fiendish Chain. Apologies for yawning there. That is a big play. That is huge, because basically it saves the Geargia player from being completely swarmed, but he did draw the Solar Recharge, which is also very nice. And the Solar Recharge is going to work wonders here. He's just debating which play to make. So he's going to summon the Lumina. With no response, he's going to activate the effect of Lumina to special summon Garroth, by the looks of it. Garroth would be an interesting one to try and gain back some advantage, some hand advantage, but that's not what happens. He's going to go into Felice, and you could see here a Black Rose Dragon. No, you won't see no, you will see a Black Rose Dragon. That is level 4 and a level 3. And there is the Black Rose Dragon. And Kurt has the answer. That is the Black Corner Heaven played on the Black Rose Dragon. Unfortunately, there's nothing much you can do about that. You just got to suck it up. But there is a ruler. There is a ruler in his grave, unfortunately, which I did not spot. He is going to bottomless that ruler, but that does mean that Judgment Dragon will come out. You've got to think, though, that not bottomless in the Judgment Dragon when it's possibly going to come out. I feel that he should possibly have a response to it. And he does. And he does. All of the outs. So the Geargia player will take 8,000 damage there, putting them on equal life. But they were all the outs. The opponent must have seen that if he's going to bottomless a blaster, knowing that he's going to be getting back a Judgment Dragon, he's obviously going to have a plan for it. So we go into Arcanite Magician. Now this is an interesting one that you don't really see that often. Arcanite Magician now has 2, and wow, once again you have the Trap Tricks Trap Pull Nightmare. This is turning out to be a nightmare for the for the Lightsworn player, because unfortunately he is being out-resourced, while Kurt is also in the same boat. He still can quite easily come back from this, but there are still Lightsworns and Judgment Dragons in there, so Kurt is going to take 1,600 damage. So it puts him on 5-4, and he's also going to, the Lightsworn player is also going to gain 8,000 to go up to 8,000 life points. I realise I just edited the wrong screen, which I have a habit of doing today. So in Kurt's end phase, the Lightsworn player will take back the Redox, and he's going to summon him again by the looks of it. And there's the armor. So he's going to take 300 life points there, just because of the armor's effect, the armor's defense. So now Kurt is starting to pull it back. He has 2 level 4s on the field, soon to be 3. And this means that he can go into an XC play, whether or not whichever one he wants to do. He's going to go into the armor, to the Geargia X, sorry. Geargia X has enough power to punch over the Redox. He's going to search out the card D. Now that is a very interesting search, and one that is actually quite good. So he's going to look for this Necro Gardener, and that Necro Gardener will stop the attack. Main phase 2, Kurt is going to flip down the armor, and that is that. So we have an Eren, and Eren is actually not that much of a bad draw, because he can get rid of that armor, but then it does still leave himself vulnerable to Geargia X and being attacked. It does, however, mean that he can get more mills. However, it's not normally something that you might want at this late stage in the game, because there's not actually that much left in the deck. So we'll see how this goes now. So they're just currently calling for a judge. They're just going to check. I'm not sure what effect they're going to be checking. So they are talking about the effect of Eren versus the Lightsworn, and talking about how it will work with the face down. Unfortunately, the player cannot ask a judge on how a scenario will play out. He has to actually enter that scenario and then question what will happen. So they are going to attack Eren. They are going to attack, and it will get the effect. So this is turning out to be another interesting game that we will see. He's obviously going to send the armor back, so he doesn't get any obviously reflect damage. But the armor will probably go back to the deck. So apologies for this. There isn't much to talk about because they're just finishing up on that ruling. So he's going to banish to some of the Redux. So we're back underway now. He's banishing the 2 JDs. Just to keep himself alive, to be honest, because he's in a bit of a strain now. So there is an Eclipse Wyvern. He's going to use the very nice Shadows. He's going to pop the Fiendish Chain there, and the Soul Drain is also there. So you gotta think that that's it, because the unfortunately Lightsworn player has 1 card, and that's what it was. It was the Soul Charge. So there is a example of how you can mill yourself to death in game 2. So that was the Geargia player, took the whole round there. 2-0'd the Lightsworn player 2-0. So that is it, guys. Thank you for tuning in to round 5. Stay tuned for round 6.